Amazon. Now I can't return to Amazon. But anyway.
Oh, you good to go? You see your life?
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. We are glad to be live again on this last day of February 2021. Many times I confuse for 2020. I think we didn't have a 2020, so I'm still there. But we're glad to be here together, continuing a series on relationships. This is Simon Bevy. Sober Sunday, stimulating conversations with me and a team of guests. And it's been amazing. Last week we had a wonderful time. We talked about rekindling the spark or spicing it up. And we had a good conversation with Rose and David. And some others who are not with us today. And today we're so glad to continue with the conversation. I want to invite all of you from near and far who are joining us. We're glad that you're here. We would love to hear your comments, your experiences. Please share with us on the Facebook page, either of Rose and David and my and Transform Nations page as well, and Valentine's page. Feel free to let us know what's going on and what you think about the conversations that we're going to have. But it's going to be exciting here. I've been looking forward to this. So let me invite you to start watch parties and invite your friends. And, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're single or married or divorced or separated. This is going to be relevant to every one of us as long as we care about relationships. So again, we just want to jump into it and get talking. Glad to have Valentine Joroge. She's a veteran here. She's been here many times. She does a great show on TV and in other spaces. So she's used to this, but we're glad that she's here with a great hairstyle. It doesn't look cheap, it looks expensive, but we're glad to have you here, Valentine. So go ahead and introduce yourself, remind people who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I think the most recognizable thing that I do is I am the host of The Loop on K24 every Friday night at 9 p.m. And we've actually had conversations with David and also with you, Pastor S. Rose, I think we have to purpose now to have you on The Loop soon. And I'm also the founder and CEO of Datasphere Media, which is a platform for African women to share stories. And also I am a born-again Christian. I am a mother of a 5-year-old boy. And what else? And I'm dating for the purposes of this conversation. I told somebody earlier, I'm a veteran in this dating thing. We've been doing it for decades now.
Yeah, Eliza, I was happy when some time ago I wanted to have you to come for the show, and you told me you are dating. You had a date that weekend. So.
I think you're the only pastor I can say that to. I can't do your show. I have a date.
So that was exciting. I was excited for you. Yeah, and then of course we have Rose and David Awangata. They are my good friends for a long time. They've been my neighbors as well. Quite good neighbors, I should say. Yeah, quite good neighbors. Yeah, but go ahead, introduce yourselves, and then we can start the conversation.
All right, I'm Rose Ewagata, close relative of David Ewagata here. Yeah, neighbors too. I'm a mother of 3, a teenager who's 15 going 16, an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old, 2 boys and 1 girl, and the girl youngest. Yeah, I'm a pastor by calling and training. And I've worked with young people since I was a young person. And married to David for 20 years, soon going to be 21 years. Yeah, and we dated. We dated for like 4 years, about 4 years before we got married.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Thanks, Ross. Welcome, Devi.
David Yamagata, and all she has said is true.
Yeah.
That's your neighbors and close relatives.
You confirm.
Yes, we dated just as long, and we have these children. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. I should add that I have 3 children, been married for 23 years. It's going to be. David, I started a little earlier than you. But it's been a good journey. Of course, when I was dating, things were very different. We're talking about dating nowadays because in our time, it was pretty different. So we must start with Valentine, who is dating now. And she has said she's a veteran in this. So she has been around it for a while. So she knows what's working, what's broken, what's bad, and what's hopeful. How are things going? How is it at the dating scene?
Well, in terms of what, dating for marriage, or just, there are many people dating casually and not saying, and then you think maybe, so I think this is the key thing. As having been a veteran, I will confess I have made many, many mistakes. The biggest one, I think, especially when you asked me to speak about this topic, I was like, now you want me to just mulika myself and say how I've been failing in this area for so long.
Yeah.
The biggest mistake I think I've made is not always being clear. Sometimes wanting to be the fun chick, so you don't want to be the one to say, where is this going? Can you even see yourself with me in like 3 months, a year, 3 years? Do you want to get married? Like, what are you dating for? Because dating is shopping, right? Fundamentally, like what it boils down to, you're shopping. So what are you shopping for? Some people are shopping for someone to, have a fling with, go on holidays with, dinners, blah, 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 but they don't want to commit. Some people are dating as they transition out of their marriages. Some people are dating to get married. So I think it's important to ask that question. What are you dating for? And also to be clear yourself, as I'm shopping, what am I putting in the market? Am I ready to become a wife? Am I ready to be a husband? Or am I dating casually? Is it recreational?
Yeah.
Yeah. What am I putting out there, and what do I want? What do I want to get out of this?
Well, you have spot dating.
It's true.
Yeah, there's a spot dating, and I think guys seem to enjoy that. But before we get into those details of what you're looking for and mistakes and all of that, what's going on? Are there lots of ladies that are willing to have a serious date, and then less men who are serious about it? Is there a lot more online dating? I mean, I've seen a lot of dating sites and everything.
I'm having fun online dating.
Yeah.
I'm having fun online dating. I discovered an app called Bumble recently. I'm on Bumble and I've met some promising prospects.
Yeah.
One of whom might be watching. I don't think he'll be happy to hear that I found prospects. But and there's a lot of online dating. There's also digitally. What does that do to the dating scene in terms of people asking for nudes and sexting and all this stuff? And how open should you be with somebody before you've met them in real life if you met them online? I think there are, for men, I think men are spoiled for choice. In terms of, if for example you're a 40-year-old bachelor, you can date anyone 45 and below until whatever age is legal, from 45 to 18. And whereas women, we haven't allowed ourselves that much freedom in terms of dating younger. So women want to date older. I think men are spoiled for choice, but I also think women should open their minds up to the younger guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure.
Does that answer your question, Pastor Ed?
Yes, it does. And I like what you're saying. It's like men have more opportunities, maybe culturally, because they get less judged if they go for younger. They can almost date, another generation, their daughters, and that's acceptable. But then it's not that acceptable for you as a lady. So you're saying things look more skewed towards the men, in favor of men, than it is in favor of girls. But talking about digital dating and just the challenges of getting to know the other person, Rose, being a lady, do you think it's easy to get to understand the person on the other side of the screen? Because I just find it very easy to be fake on screen.
Yes, but I am not a digital native myself, so I don't even speak that language. But I know that those who are millennials and those who are digital natives, this is so natural for them. This online is where they live, they eat, they sleep, they wake up to. And so for them, it's very natural. For me, I come from a different generation where meeting the real person was now a relationship. Even talking on the phone was not a relationship. Is meeting the person, interacting with them face to face, going and meeting their family, meeting their friends, and interacting with the real person. And so I know for most of them, they will defend, for this generation, most of them who have done online, and they will defend themselves. They have a system that seems to be working. In terms of how will you know that this person is real and not fake? As I look at a lot of the research that is being done about online dating, I see there's a lot of pros and cons. And one of the biggest is people, and you can be anyone online. You can be the prince of another continent, another planet.
Zamunda.
You can be whoever you want to be, as exotic, as exciting, as hot, and yet in person you can be totally a different person. And so the dangers are there in terms of, somebody could be pretending to be somebody else. And it's so easy to do that online because it's not in person. I can present myself in a different way. So that's a danger, that you might not end up in a genuine, authentic relationship with a real person. You might be dating an imagination.
That's true. That's true. I mean, David, you're working a lot, both of you, with these young people. And I know one of those young people came to me, I think last year, very disappointed because she had been dating someone online for like 2 years. And she thought, like, I know this person very well. And then they eventually got to meet and had a conversation. And within 2 or 3 days of meeting, she realized this dude was already married, actually. At some point he just said it with a, how you slip of the tongue, as they talked. And she was very disappointed because, 2 years she had spent working on this online relationship, only to discover, on the first few days of person-to-person meeting. So maybe you can say something into it, David, as we now get down to some of the things to look for.
Yeah, it's the problem of what you ordered and what you got. Okay. This is the challenge of online shopping. We bought a projector for my son at one point for his birthday, and on the app that we were using, I will not mention the name, it looked like a major serious projector and at a very good price. So I got to collect it from the center, and they give me a box that looks like a perfume bottle and lighter. And I'm like, is this everything? There is no other thing coming out of the story. This is just the letter. That was it. And I'm carrying this thing, I'm just like, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. And I got home and we opened it. It looks like a camera. Those digital cameras. That was the whole projector. And they have said 1,000 lumens. I'm thinking, man, we're going to light up the estate. My torch is brighter. And that is unfortunately the challenge of online dating. There are so many things that you can't get. There's the non-verbal communication, which accounts for 70% of communication. So you're just seeing text and chat, and then this person sends you pictures of what they want you to see. We all have a good side. Even the ugliest of us has a side that when you take a picture will look nice. And so they have, and it's filtered and all these things. And so you have all these things that this person just, I mean, it's another level from just putting your best foot forward. When I put my best foot forward, you know, I'll dress up, I'll do my perfume, I will come, I will talk gentle because I want to impress her. But she can tell my body language, she can tell my attitude when somebody else walks in to say hi to her. She can read a lot of things that I do not necessarily put on the table. But on the screen, everything is flat. Everything is perfect. And so we order this and we get the other, and we are shocked, you know, that this is the person. And it's unfortunate that happens. The other thing I'll say about online dating is it's a 24-hour service. You blue tick at 2 a.m., they know you are online. In fact, they just check and say, I pity the young generation that cannot say goodbye and turn the corner and see you next week. And it happens so because you're constantly like dating on CCTV. every movement is monitored. And I just imagine the pressure that is on a young person and having to, you know, even when I need time to think, and no wonder people are more superficial, and then the ghosting. If you want to talk to you, just and let you keep talking until you're tired, and you break up with yourself on the other side.
I left long time ago.
I've decided I'm done with being, you know, followed everywhere, every time. And so those are the challenges that I see now with dating. And unfortunately, the atmosphere they're finding themselves in is the online platform for all this.
Yeah. I like what you've said. I think we're not telling the young people and even older people, don't online date. I think we're just saying be very careful because it's very easy to be fake. And just be careful. Do your own research. Make sure before you give your heart away, you probably have a good understanding of this person. You don't want to get disappointed. It's very easy to get disappointed. Lots of people have gotten disappointed, and some have ended up with wrong people. You know, mafisi. People just pretend to be very good, but they're really danger. And I love many of you that have joined in and who are making comments. We're going to be picking some of those shortly. But Valentine, let's get back to you. I love what you said, that you need to define the relationship early.
Yes.
Define what you want, and then in the earliest opportunity, ask the other person to define what they want, so that you see whether you're on the same page. You may be in very different pages and end up wasting time for each other. But is it easy for you to ask a guy to define what he wants? Do they take it kindly?
Actually, I've found the men who are very clear what they want are okay with having the conversation. The guys, but I've also found that men are kind of always dating. Men are always pitching. It's true. I have yet to find a man who's like, I've taken a year off. I need to be in touch with myself. I'm getting to know David, Moses, whoever your name is. I have rarely found, actually, I've never met a guy who's like, I'm off, you know? You'll find guys, even in the process of divorce, so coffee, like they're very, and divorce is shattering, isn't it? Like you're splitting your property, you're splitting your children, your home is falling apart. And even then, I still find men are dating. They might not be dating to marry, but they are still entertaining the company of women. Whereas, which is, I think, why women are the ones who need to ask this question and say, this is what I am here for, and these are my parameters. It makes you a difficult person to date. There are people who write you off and say you're difficult and say you're this, that, and the other. But I think the married women will tell us that they were like that, and that is why they are now married. Rose, am I right? Am I right?
The other thing I've observed, I think, about that dating is evolving. It's changing. Having been around for a while and working with young people, I've noted, I mean, our observation is that dating is evolving. It's changing. It's changing in the motivation for it. It's changing in how it's being done. It's changing in the attitude towards it. It's changing in the way that it's being shaped by it's a culture that is changing, and so it's following the culture of the day. And so what we saw in our days in dating is totally the field is changed completely. Like, I mean, dating for us was a serious thing. You involve you involve your pastor, you involved your parent, you involved your close friend. It wasn't just a personal decision. When you were thinking about dating, you consulted with people whom you thought were wise or would give you advice with your friend. And it was taken like a serious step in life. Now, as you say, it's a hobby, it's a pastime.
It's an extreme sport.
It's an extreme sport. And so that changes the way we approach it, the way we approach dating. For one, I know that breaking up is not a big deal. That's why even a divorced man and a person who's going through divorce is still thinking they're on the market and they're in circulation. But, you know, because it's like there's no feeling. It's not personal. It's just I'm not just into you. Moving on quickly. There's no divorce. There's no time taking time out to say, hey, you know, I'm taking time out to just recover from this so that I can have a fresh start. When I start, I have evaluated why this failed. What am I? Where am I at? You know, it's like moving on swiftly. It's like it's not personal. It's just that I didn't like you. It didn't work out. So moving on. That's why you need to break up on a text. Just send a text and it's over. Or just and it's over. The other person just move on.
Well, I would say there's a bit for people who are in a relationship, like if you've gone as far as to say we're in a committed, exclusive relationship, then I think that is taken more seriously, and that is when you involve, you know, your pastors and your friends and, you know, people whose opinions matter. But when I say dating, I'm actually talking about like in this limbo of date 0 to like 3-4 months. You know, it's not too serious. Nobody's really in love yet.
Situationship, apparently.
Yes, that situationship. Because I think that's the tricky bit where you're like, how much do I tell this person? How much do I keep to myself? If I say I want to get married, will he think I'm proposing to him? I'm not proposing to you. I'm just telling you this is why I'm having these coffees and lunches and dinners, you know.
So I think what you're saying, Valentine, and for David and Rose, I think there's a comment that your sound is a bit low.
So get something to just help with that.
Yeah, but I think Valentine, what you're saying is really true. I think expectations need to be shared at the start. so that nobody is disappointed. What is this? Once you meet for coffee and then you meet a second time, then you need to define where are we going? What do we want? Maybe we want different things. And many times it's easier for the man just to continue without stating, because men like to keep their options open a lot more. And of course, they don't get as easily involved emotionally as ladies do. And that's why I think you said men might be able to date when they are pulling out of a divorce, because mainly their mind is in small boxes. So, the divorce is on one box and this dating is on another box. So they are not related. Yeah.
Really?
We're not as related.
But I find men so emotional compared to women. I get
Well,
that compartmentalizing, but I also get that men, in my experience, are very emotional.
Well, they are passionate, but they can easily separate, their commitments. And that's why it's a lot easier for men to be dating 2-3 people at the same time. While it's harder for a lady, because it's easy for you to lock on and begin to grow in that relationship. So I think it's because of that, then it's easier for the lady to be the one to ask, where is this going? What are we doing here? What do I expect? So that you don't get disappointed, because eventually your heart may be a lot more broken than for the person. So get to know the intention way earlier. Let me ask, David, or you're still fixing the sound? We could get back to you in a minute.
We are good.
Okay. So let me ask, there are those things you need to be wary of right from the first or second date. There are those things, it could be financial. Let's start with the character issues. What are some things that you might see and you begin to say, no, this is not the right kind of person? What should scare you in terms of character issues that may come up?
Character issues. I think just one, the carefreeness with which the person looks at the relationship. If they are not in it with a serious perspective to getting married, it already is a red flag for me. Two is can I be able to know the person outside of what they tell me? That is her community, her friends, her interactions. What do those other people say? If they're afraid to expose that side, then definitely I'm dealing with a hoax. It's just like a guy who says I have a company, but they don't have a location. That is your first red flag. Are they in community?
Yeah.
And if there's a community, what does the community also say about them? Thirdly, are they...
So I like that before you leave that community thing, because you get to know someone is genuine and not fake when they begin to tell you about their friends, and you can actually reach out to their friends. But if they never want to expose you to anyone around them, if they're just solo, isolated people, then that's a big danger sign.
They operate like a firework. Fireworks just go alone and explode, and it's glorious to see it, but it's not connected to anyone anywhere. So we need to be able to know what community, and unfortunately the culture, and I think COVID played a huge number on us, because even the little interaction that was there outside of the online platform was quashed for a whole year in many settings. And so it's not to blame them for where they are. It's the reality that we are living in. Right now, people are just saying, you know what, social interaction. And I remember sitting with some young guys and I think, so where do we meet? We used to come for services. Now we can't come for services. Those who go for Dunda, they used to meet in Dundas. Now Dunda ends at 10 p.m. while we are still sober enough to know when to run. Those who used to meet in social places, most social gatherings were messed up. Weddings, you're told weddings, 50 people. Surely 50 people. How do you find a wife amongst 50 people when you've been living in a country of 47 million and you've not found one? So the kind of context for where they would be able to meet have been limited, and much so back to the online space. And so you have to, and that's why people now will search your name. They're like, Valentine, okay, let me search and see what else comes up. Dada's here, what else comes up? And they're like, okay, who are the friends? You know, if you find a common friend, then that is probably your entry into the other person's space. But it's always a hit and miss, because right now you're dating Chevronsky from Russia, and you don't know anyone, and the rest of them don't speak English. So it's you and her and fate.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. Get to know their community. And we're talking about more danger signs. And, you know, Stephen Guru is saying, what is the end game? You know, in a relationship, you want to know what's the end game. Yeah.
This person comes in and says, they're just here for fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to have fun with your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in the more space out there, outside of the church circles, I mean, there is that culture of let's not talk about the end game.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it spoils the fun.
Yeah.
What's the fun in talking about the end game now? Once we start talking about the end game, it spoils the fun of dating. And so
it's almost like let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
But in that let's see what happens, there is emotional insecurity.
Yes.
Because if you're dating me casually, or you're dating me seriously and I'm dating you casually, you're more invested.
Not mutual.
Whereas I'll see you when I see you, you know, if a work project comes up, I'll chill out on the relationship. You know, I'm not investing as much as you are, time-wise, resources, anything, even emotionally, being emotionally available for you. Yeah. If you've had a good day, if you're being serious, I'm probably the first person you want to call. But then if you're having a bad day, I might be the person you think you should be able to lean on. I'm like, why is this guy supporting me? You don't have friends. Like, see.
What are we?
You know what I mean?
That meme that what are we? We are Zimbabweans.
We are Zimbabweans.
What am I to you? You are a Zimbabwean.
Who are we?
Who are we? We are two Zimbabweans.
Two Zimbabweans. As we are two Zimbabweans. Yes. Meanwhile, you think I'm your girlfriend. I'm saying we're two Zimbabweans. Like, so I think that's where people get hurt, and I think that's where it's important to now talk about that end game. It might not sound romantic, but neither is emotional instability and heartache. So
and this is the thing.
Yeah.
The thing I feel, we have removed all the goalposts, we have removed all the rules to the game because we are trying to be this free world. You know, somebody has asked me, what are we? You put the Michael Jacksons on, we are the world, we are the children. We're just here to make a brighter day, so let's start giving.
Those are players. That is how they know those lines.
We can't just start giving. We cannot just be the world, the children. No. I need to know.
Yeah.
And so, because we have removed all the rules, you know, you can't just start dating me if you're not serious. You can't just start hanging out with me if you do not think there's something that can go on. And unfortunately, we are living in a world which says, you know what, don't question, don't ask, just enjoy yourself. If it works out, kisera, whatever will be, you know. But you can't just kiss around my heart.
Like that.
Yeah.
All right. I like that. I love that. I love that. No, great conversation and good engagements from the people here. Valentine, there are two signs that I've seen that like for running away. And I want to hear your perspective. For example, if you're dating this Gemma and on the second date, you know, they want to take you to bed and you don't even know them well. You don't even know their middle name yet. You know, you're just beginning to know them and they immediately want the bottom line. Let's get, you know, down to sex. I think for me, that's a big danger. Then this person may just be in it for that and off they go. And number two, when a guy disappears, as a lady was telling me some weeks ago, that they were very good friends with this person. They were talking like for hours every day. And then suddenly the guy just keeps quiet for 2 weeks and he's not responding. He's just blue ticking. And then suddenly he comes back and said, I traveled for work. What? For 2 weeks and you are not saying anything? And then he continues to chat for another 2 days and then disappears again for a month. And she's now bleeding and crying and wondering, what did I do? And I was just telling her, just run away from this guy. He's playing you like a toy.
Yes, there for sure there's something going on with him that is also none of her business. So that one, just dump him. Why are you laughing? Because I said it's none of her business.
What's going on with him and it's none of her business. It's like, yeah, there's
It's
a
none of her
life there,
business.
how hard is it? How hard is it to accept?
You know why I'm saying this, David? It could be a deep emotional issue. It could be that he found another chick and was like, let me give this one a chance. It could be that really he did travel for work. Either way, he's not communicating. So it's none of her business. So you just leave that one alone. You can sit here guessing and speculating and drawing pictures, or you can just entertain someone else.
Yeah, let me quote for you a quotation that has been given online here. We found one on dating and nowadays. It says, dating nowadays is impossible. No one is really single. We are all in like 6 imaginationships, 2 situationships, and hung up on our toxic ex who ain't good but did that thing we like in bed.
Wow.
That is not encouraging or hopeful. I don't like it.
Well, the guy has this thing.
Yeah.
He just has this thing. There's 6 imaginationships. You're probably one of the imaginations.
Or she's the one in this case, the lady who's being blue ticked. She's the one in the imaginationship.
Yes. And
the guy is being very honest. He's like, you're not a priority. His behavior says you're not a priority in my life. I'll talk to you when I talk to you, blah, blah, blah. So it's for her to set her own boundaries. As for people who want to have sex very quickly in a relationship, I think it speaks to something. I don't know, does it speak to something? Sometimes it speaks to something emotional, but also sometimes some people are just like happy to have sex with many people quickly. You know what I mean? And people go through phases in life. Just because you are like that when you're 26 doesn't mean that's who you are at 33. But maybe that's just something the person is going through where their boundaries, their walls are like this. Their sexual walls, they're not up here, they're down here. So many people can get in, right? Or get to know them sexually. And then at another time in life, the wall might be up. Anyway.
And I think what you're saying.
I think it's for individuals to decide this is what I want and this is what I am available for. And then that way you don't get swept up in other people's drama and their emotional problems and their childhood trauma or whatever it is. Yes, you're not being swept up by any wind that comes along. You're like, no, I'm here for this. Even if it is that I want to, say you've decided I want to learn how to date. Therefore, I'm not dating for marriage, but I want to learn how to meet people, get to know them, and not get too emotionally involved. That could be a thing that you've decided is a skill set you need. Then you go out there, you date, but you should also have your own parameters. And
but is that the place of dating?
Is that the what?
Is that the place for dating? Knowing people, getting to know how to relate with people. Is it within the dating context? Is it just within the friendship context? Because I can't just date to know. To learn.
This is it.
Whose daughter am I going to practice on?
The daughter who does not have boundaries unless you come into her life and play whatever game you're playing. That is whose daughter you're going to date.
And I like it, Valentine. I think what you said is when someone easily, and quickly wants to get to the place of sex, and then you need to know that they will do the same with other people. It means that, so it's just a character issue. That's their character. If that's the way you want to go and break your heart, then go ahead. But at least you've warned yourself and known this is the issue. yeah, that there's no wall. But we can talk about a few other character issues and also financial issues, danger signs, just things before we get back to what are you really looking for. But what else is a danger sign, Rose?
I think one of the things that I have had conversation about in the recent past has been that we are more overly concerned about the looks, the financial status, whether they are single or not. But there's one issue that is really coming up, and that is the mental health of this person. We've had all too much in this recent past, cases of people who have been rejected, committing suicide, threatening this person, killing the person who has turned their offer down. And so I think that's an element, that's one red flag that we need to know. How do they handle rejection? How do they handle your, how do they approach a girl? Do they manipulate? Are they manipulative? Are they threatening? Are they jealous and overly controlling? Even if they're saying they want exclusivity, what is the reason behind exclusivity? There's a need to control. Are they just meeting their narcissistic, needs? So the mental health of a person, I think, is one of the things we need to really consider, top on the list in our time and in our generation. There's all too many sick people out there.
The whole dispensary.
In the dating scene, very unhealthy, very unhealthy. And they drag someone into a very toxic space, and this person ends up to the point of losing their life.
That's right. And I like that. You need to determine, Valentine, whether you want to date or you want to be a doctor, social doctor to people. Because a lot of them are very...
It's true. There are people who start telling you things and you're like, you need to consider therapy. I am not qualified to deal with this level of trauma. No, it's true. It's true. It's and then sometimes I find myself checking with my girlfriends, like, this guy really told me this, and they're like, yeah, he needs therapy. Give him a number. Give him a number. But it's not your job.
Yes.
I think another thing, and Pastor and David, you might not like this, but there's an idea in the world that men complete their development and their maturity when they find a good woman.
Thank you.
Where?
That is hugely problematic. I am not mom too. I am not the addendum to your mother. Whatever she did not finish, see me, Jamaliza. Give me.
True.
So complete your work as men. Do that emotional work. Come into the relationship as a complete grown man. Yes, it's not my job to fix your childhood trauma, how you were not as a child, how you need the affirmation of 100 girls so you can feel like a man, and now I'm just part of a choir. No, it's just...
that is a serious statement. That is a serious statement. We will take it back to the men's conference. We need to discuss that.
You need to take it back to the men's conference.
We are not accepting that.
Turn up complete. Turn up complete.
Valentine, I actually like what you're saying. I actually like what you said before you move on. There's some level of need that you cannot meet in a relationship, that someone needs to be helped to fix before they come, because you need to be generally healthy. You're not going to be perfect because all of us have developmental gaps in one way or another, but you need to be at a place where you're not compulsive, where you're not threatening, where you're not whining like a baby. You've got to be at a place where you're ready to date. And I like what you said, that you need to sometimes consult your girlfriends or your boyfriends and say, this is what I'm experiencing about this girl. Is this normal? Sometimes you may think something is normal, which is very abnormal, and just comparing notes with other people may help you understand. Someone has asked, what is actually dating? Because I think, and friendship, I think there's a place for seeing people where you take coffee and you're checking people out. When you begin to date, you're beginning to focus on a person towards a more serious relationship.
You're zeroing in.
You're beginning to zero in.
The problem with this generation is that they don't think when you zero in on a person, it's exclusive. It's I'm seeing you as I survey, as I also see others. So we need to, that's what I was saying, it's like we remove the rules and say, let's play football. There's no handball, there's no offside, there's no fouls, and let's just play. Whatever makes you happy. If you think kicking the ball will make you happy, kick the ball. If you think grabbing the ball and running like you're playing rugby will tickle you, you do it. And what is happening? We've created such a sore field that it's neither football, it's neither rugby, it's neither golf, it's just a mess. And there's no game in this world that does not have it. And unfortunately, we are trying to make sure that we have no rules in the dating scene. We do not know when to go to bed, when to zip up, when to ask the question, when to say it is over. We're just like, no, it's just gonna flow. If it works,
No.
And that's what
I actually think that when people are serious about dating, they don't leave things. When a man is very interested in a woman, she will have no doubt in her mind. She will have no doubt in her mind that this guy is interested. He will text, he will call, he'll make a point to take you out to see you. If he finds out you like red roses, you will be smelling some red roses. When a guy is interested, he should leave no doubt in a woman's mind. And the same thing for a woman. Don't assume that he can read your mind. So for me, what I find problematic that has no rules is that limbo stage of we've just met and we've had maybe even 6 dates, but we haven't fully defined the relationship. I think that's the problematic part. But after that, once we say we are exclusive, if I see you having coffee with somebody, you better introduce me as your girlfriend. And if you see me having coffee with somebody, I better introduce you as my boyfriend. Once you're claiming each other in public, I think that's quite easy to navigate. It's the before part. This one of
the challenge is that for most people, that situationship doesn't take 2 to 3 months. That you can be in a situationship for years.
Now that's a problem.
You have even moved in together, and yet you are still not so sure that this person is the one you want to settle down with.
Now that's a problem.
And there's a lot of those relationships, even in the Christian circles.
And then they are seeing somebody else. And you are trying to understand.
It's an open relationship.
Let me tell you, this is why I'm saying the rules have been kicked out.
The rules have changed.
You get to date with this person. Week 2, you've moved into their apartment or in campus. You moved into their room.
Together
Now they're living together, and then kidogo, he's also hitting on your best friend out there. And then you're like, oh, maybe my best friend is the one who just pulled a move. Oh, she's trying to break us up. And let me tell you, it is a murky mess. And then here you are, you're sexual with a guy who you're not even sure wants anything above 1 term with you. It's like you are a good chemistry student, and this is chemistry 3. He needs a girl who knows chemistry. Next time you are out, because next time is sports stuff. He's going to go to the basketball.
It's something different. Well, I like this conversation, and
in a space where
Rose.
you are healthy, where you are healthy, you're mature, you're processing, you can think the way Valentine is thinking. She's thinking, you need to define this. After this, I'm expecting this. After this, and you are verbalizing. But in a situation where we have people who have no idea why they're in a relationship, they are there because it's just a fun thing to do. It's the thing to do. My friends are all doing it. I'm alone. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be lonely.
Friends with benefits.
There's benefits.
Yeah.
I have, I have benefits that come out of being in a relationship. That is where now we have this mess that we are in. And it's very common. It's become very common.
To the girls who I do mentor who are in that stage, or even young men who I mentor who are in that space, I say ask the unpopular questions. Because David, I believe you're the one who said you can't case Sarah with my heart. Yes, and that case Sarahing can lead to heartache and even other things. You could end up pregnant now with a child with this guy who you don't know his middle name. You don't really know what he's about in life, if he'll graduate or he's just loitering on campus. Like you see all those questions. So I say ask the hard questions. You might be branded the you might be branded, or you're that guy of stress.
But it's your life. It's your life, and I want to read something here, just to bring us towards the last 10 minutes or so. But I just want to say to many of you, this thing, the time just flies. Imagine, yeah, I think we need to keep going. But what was I saying now? I was saying, before I read what someone is saying here, I was just saying, I think this is one of the reasons, Valentine, why we do the programs we do at Transform Nations, because we feel as sometimes the challenge of relationships is not the relationship, it's the person who needs to fix themselves and deal with some issues from childhood. And that's why we do Man Enough, because none of us is perfect. All of us have developmental gaps, and we need to get together and redefine ourselves and make ourselves healthier, because you only attract people at the level of your maturity. And if you haven't dealt with your issues, then you're going to attract people at the place of your issues at that level. And so you need to fix you and build you. That's what Man Enough is about. In fact, we just are starting a class this week, an online class. So in case you're there as a man and you want to join this and you're already in a relationship or in marriage, you can sign up. The details are on our chat, on our Facebook page. And then for the ladies as well, EZA is about that. We talk about healing. We talk about understanding your mission, what you're about, where you're going, and dealing with wounds of the past, so that you become a better person to be able to date and also not to attract the wrong people because of your wounds and issues. Because many times we attract flies because we have a wound that is not fixed. So being able to deal with ourselves. So in case you're interested in any of those programs, they have just begun, Man Enough and EZA, which is like the Woman Enough, and you could sign up for that. Someone is asking about when what ends. I think for the purpose of our conversation, seeing others, that stage of seeing others is where it's a casual thing. It's a fun thing. You're trying to figure out, do you like this person? Do you like each other? Can this fly? Can this not fly? That is a point of seeing one another. And then you begin to narrow down and say, I think we can work. So that's when dating becomes. And it's a fluid transition, really. But that's when you say, okay, we are in this, we're checking each other out, we are dating, we want to know one another and see whether this can get to a serious place. When you decide, okay, I think now we are in this for marriage. So we're preparing for that. That's when courtship begins. It could be when you agree on that, or maybe when, the knee is taken and you get the ring. But at some point when I don't know who started this thing of taking the knee. I saw another guy doing that the other day, and he was really pleading that the ring be taken. That the chick says yes.
It's a hard life.
It's a hard life for men. But just knowing those are the three. Courtship is when now you're getting ready for marriage. There's no doubt you have understood that and you are into that. But maybe for the later segment, we can now talk about what are you looking for? What makes a good date for marriage? What are the characteristics? Valentine, what are the 2 or 3 things that is is you cannot compromise. It's a basic minimum.
Yeah, 2.
Maybe 4.
I think emotional availability is a very big thing for me. Yes, you need to be able to articulate what's going on with you emotionally, and you need to also be present for me emotionally. So, you know, there's someone you're telling, oh, this is how I'm feeling, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah. So, Kesha, what are we doing? Like that, that disconnect. Because I think what makes relationships delicious and juicy is being able to connect emotionally. So if you're not there emotionally, do we even have a relationship? You might as well be a colleague in the office, you know? And then I think I have to be able to rely on you. And for me, timekeeping is actually a very big indicator for me of your being reliable. You can be late, life happens, but communicate. And especially now that we have phones, I'm running an hour late, I'm 20 minutes late, something like that. Just let me know what's going on. But I need to be able to count on you. It also tells me where you've parked me in your life. Because there are things, there's a person who will call and you'll say, I can respond tomorrow. And there's me calling, and if you've parked me correctly in your life, my important thing is also important to you. Your important thing is important to me, right? And I want somebody who is, like you need to understand my sense of humor. We need to have a shared sense of humor. Otherwise, you will be offended by me. I will say something, you'll be like, this one. There's something wrong with that. So we need to laugh together. Because I also think humor is a way to diffuse tension, even in the middle of arguments and disagreements. I think humor is a very important part of your communication. Yes. Even your sex life, we should be able to laugh. Some things you try in the bedroom is just a mess. Sorry, Pastor. And then
why are you saying sorry now?
We will have
so I've said 3 things.
Yeah.
You have to be honest. I should be able to take your word to the bank. But that's kind of like being reliable. It's kind of the same thing. Yes. And then somebody open. I don't want someone to have to ask you 78 questions for you to get a straight answer. Like, can you just boy child, like be open.
Stop holding some cards to your chest, you know, just be open so that I see whether I want this or I don't want this. Rose, what did you say are 2 or 3 things?
Can I have number 5?
Okay.
Let her finish.
Go ahead.
I need to feel cherished. Yes, I need to feel cherished. You can cherish me, but if you don't tell me, I won't believe it. I need to feel it in my bones. I will also cherish you, and you will know. Okay, I'm done.
Well, Steve Guru is saying, Valentine is saying, come on, when you feel, I was make. Yeah, come on, when you feel, I was make. And that's important. I think there needs to be a soul thing. There needs to be a soul connection. So I like that. And emotional intelligence coming out of emotional health. That you're healthy emotionally, so you can say the right things. You're not always apologizing because you're always saying the wrong things and doing things that feel like rejection. Okay, Rose, maybe 1 or 2 things you'll advise those who are dating that they need to look for 1, 2 things.
I think for one, just finding a person who's authentic and who's not afraid to be themselves. They're not trying to be anyone else. And they're not trying to impress you with who they are not. I think that's for one thing that I find very healthy. If you start from that foot, chances are this will go a long way. Because you've started from a place of being genuine, authentic yourself. You've presented who you are. which is contrary to what we feel we need to do in the dating space. In the dating space, we feel like we need to put our best foot forward with this person, but yet you want it to go long term, then disappoint them at some point by, higher. You are not this reliable. This is just to impress me. You are, So just that being genuine, I think, is very important if you're going to go into the dating scene. You'd rather be rejected for being yourself than not be. So that's critical, that you are genuine.
I like it. Yeah.
You enter into that space with and it comes with a sense of security in who you are. You've known yourself. You are secure about who you are. You know your faults, and you are not trying to avoid your faults. You're facing yourself. So that's so critical, and it speaks of how healthy emotionally you are, how healthy spiritually you are.
I like
in your skin.
Yeah.
So that you don't
I like that.
Into the relationship. Yeah.
That's right. David, maybe one other characteristic you're looking for.
I think just having a standard, having values and having a standard. Having values in terms of how I want to live my life, not just how I want to be married. Because there's so much, when you don't have a standard, there's so much unfaithfulness. And people are always, go to any FM stations, they're talking about how unfaithful men have been busted and women busted. And then you're saying in the dating life, you want to become the adventurous guy. And so if you don't have a standard, if I realize I cannot be safe with you, and you cannot be safe with me, then there is no woman who will show up after we get married who will be safe with me, or a man who will be safe with you. It doesn't start after I do. I always tell people the wedding bells do not hold any magic, that you've been a player for 27 years and then suddenly and then a player just falls off like an old duster and you just start walking a faithful walk. It doesn't work like that. And the result of what we are seeing today is people who thought, I can be a player and then I'm ready to settle now. I will drop that card and take on the card of a good husband, a good father, a faithful man. And it doesn't work. So if you're not faithful now, when we are friends, there's no way you'll be faithful when we are husband and wife. It just doesn't show up. Yeah. So for me, faithfulness in that character is critical.
Yeah, I like it. And humor is important. Stephen Guru seems to be trying to help us see what we are saying. So he says, Rose is saying, Cheza kawe. So just be yourself. Huh? And Christine says, but Valentine is right. You don't just say that you care. You need to be able to show. So I like that, being able to show. So I hear like 4 things we're saying before we go around and do our concluding remarks. Number 1 is there needs to be a connection. You want to date someone you have a connection with, you feel free with, there's a soul thing going, you miss them, you want to meet them, not people you see their call and you pretend you're busy. That shouldn't be a date. Huh? It should be someone you're connected with and there's a connection. Number 2 is character, that they have some values and principles, because that's what makes them safe, that they could say no to some things and say yes to some things, but they know what to them is right and what is wrong. They are not easy go, anything goes kind of a person, boundaryless. Then you're going to pay for it if that's a kind of a person. So a person of character or some principles, who is authentic, who keeps time, because keeping time is a character thing. Part of character. So number 3, I think we're saying commitment. Someone who really wants this relationship, who is going to buy flowers at some point and buy a watch. Yeah. And buy a watch for the dude as well. Valentine, you guys like flowers. We like something more practical, like a watch or a car. Maybe So commitment, just show of commitment. You know, if you're unwell, that they care, they're committed to making sure you're there. They're committed to keeping a date. They're not always, you know, saying, "Oh no, I can't make it," or "I was too busy this week, I couldn't even call you." But they need to show commitment. And lastly is care. So there are 4 C's there. Care, that they care for you. They actually want to know how you're doing, and they want to make sure that they add value to you. That they're not here just to get from you, they're here to give as well. And you feel like, I am better for this relationship. There's a value add. There's a way that I feel challenged, and I feel grown, and I feel better as a person. So there's a care, connection, character, commitment, and care. I think if those 4 basic things are not there, then this dating is just a dance in futility that will leave people wounded. Wow, it's been a great conversation. We wish we could keep going. Let's start with you as a couple, Rose and David, your last words, and then we come to Valentine, and then we wrap it up.
Oh, wow. Parting shot. I believe that God gives us wisdom. And this is an area in life that you need wisdom. It's not a place to walk blinded. And this is an opportunity for us to actually draw from God's wisdom. In terms of, in all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. I know we discourage people from only seeking God's wisdom and purpose and plan when they are dating, but there's no harm in exploring and taking advantage of that available resource in God's wisdom and God's leading and guidance. You avoid a lot of pitfalls, you avoid a lot of heartache, and you get to really learn to trust God for your life, because he's the one who created you. He knows your beginning from your end. And so I pray that one of the things that we will do in our dating season and in the phase of our lives is that we will seek God's wisdom. In doing so, we will help ourselves and those who we bring into our spaces.
That's right. God first. God knows things we don't know, so he's able to help us. David?
I think we need to start a school for just, there's a whole world behind sexual and reproductive health rights, SRHR, you know, sexual and reproductive health rights, and rightfully so. But I think our biggest challenge is not about sex. Even mosquitoes know how to have sex. So our problem is not about what happens there. I think we need to have a school for social and relational health rights. Because I think that's where the rubber meets the road. Our social structures are messed up. We don't know how to relate with one another outside of the bed. Our relational quotient is so low. Our relational quotient is so low. That's why guys can have to have conversations about what are we, because for them it's just we are Zambians, then that's it, you know, Zimbabweans, because we don't have a relational quotient. We don't know how to relate with a woman outside of the bed. We don't know how to relate with a man outside of his wallet, unfortunately, and that is where the rubber meets the road. So we need to just, you know, in one of those amongst the money now, you know, all these other programs, we need to just do an SRHR, social and relational rights, health rights. We are not healthy. We are not, it is not okay. We are not well. That's my parting shot.
Yeah. Well, thank
start a school, start another class. I think you have Mr. Wagata.
I think we should start the 4 of us. I like this team. So the four of us should start something. I like the team.
Those 4 is already a class, eh? That's those 4 is already a curriculum.
Yes.
I like it. Valentine, last word.
This one is this is a a word I like that tends to rub people the wrong way, but I believe, and as I've gotten older, I believe it even more. It's important to be confrontational. It's important. Confrontational is different from abrasive and argumentative and just picking a fight for no reason. But it's important to confront your life. Even when you have a date with somebody, sit down by yourself at some point and ask yourself, how did I feel? What did I think? Confront that date and then write it down, because sometimes you are just jazzed. The man smelled nice. He was good looking. He said some amazing things, but your gut processed some information that maybe you're not willing to let come to the surface. So write it down and say it out loud. There are things I've said out loud. I'm like, I really said that. And then later on, as you get to know somebody, I'm like, on date 1, I had a feeling. Then by date number 3, you're like, oh, kumbe. So confront what it is that you're feeling. And then also, ladies, we give ourselves a sales pitch. You meet a guy, he's good on paper, maybe, yeah, he looks good, he smells good, all that other stuff. And then he makes you feel uncomfortable, but you start telling yourself, oh, but. You start selling yourself that guy. You give yourself a sales pitch about him. Don't do it. Like, just be real about what actually happened. Confront what actually happened and how you felt. And then my sister says this to me all the time. She's like, you need to hire slowly, fire quickly. Dating is an interview process. Hire slowly, fire quickly.
Run for dear life. Yeah, run for dear life.
Fire quickly. Like, it's not your job to raise a boy into a man. It's not your job to complete this man's whatever growth, development, whatever process. Hire slowly, fire quickly. So yes, ladies, be confrontational, hire slowly, fire quickly. That's it.
I like it. I like it. I like this team. I think good conversation. I think my closing remark would be, learn from your mistakes. I think all of us make mistakes in this area of dating. Just know dating is a preparation for good marriage. And if you don't learn from your mistakes, then you're going to carry lots of them into your marriage. Our marriages are only as good as our dating relationships. So let's begin to realize that you'd rather break a relationship than break a life within marriage. So be bold enough to say, this is not working. Don't begin to fear rejection and get foolish and get into a relationship you know is going to hurt you. You don't want to do that. Secondly, I would say listen to your intuition and listen to your friends. If you have true friends who want the best for you and they tell you, be careful, then be careful. Don't be too blind in love that you end up in prison, thinking of going to a palace. So listen to your intuition and to others as well, who mean well for you. Lastly, just remember you need to build you and fix you and grow you, because birds of the same feather flock. If you keep attracting the same broken people, you're broken. If you keep attracting people with no principles, you're at the same level. Birds of the same feather flock together. And also realize opposites attract. When sometimes you're attracted to what you don't have, so learn from that and see how to something you need, like the way girls who have not had a dad keep getting attracted to father-like figures. Then just know that so that you fix yourself. In other words, use dating as a mirror also to better yourself. So that eventually you may get into the right relationship. For all of you dating, we wish you well. We pray that it's going to end up with great marriages that will last for 20-something years.
Amen.
And Valentine especially, we wish you well. I think you're a good woman. I admire a lot of things in you, seriously, and I really pray that you get a good man besides yourself. Thank you.
Amen. And thank you. Thank you.
If you need a vetting committee, we are here. We are available.
I thought you were going to say you know a good man.
Oh,
Pastor David.
Well, there are a couple I'm looking at. I will text
Even in
you.
the chat section here.
Please do. Please do.
Well, thank you very much for all of you that have been here. Great conversations, Faraja, thank you, and Winnie, Devani, Stephen Guru, you've been very active, Frida, Jarvis, and all of you guys. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. We continue with the relationship series for 2 more weeks. So you want to be here next week. God bless you very much. Let me just say a very quick prayer. Almighty God, we're just grateful you have given us a gift of love and relationship. And Lord, that you've allowed us to use wisdom and the freedom of choice that you've given us to make this work well. We pray for grace, Lord. Many times we make mistakes. There are many broken people. There are those who have been hurt and wounded in this sin. Lord, we just pray for your healing and guidance. And we pray that great marriages will come out of this place. So that dating will just not be a sport. It's going to be a kitchen for great marriages that will be a blessing to many people. So we thank you for our conversation. May it be a blessing to many. And we thank you for Valentine, good Valentine. Bless her also and bring her soon to a conclusive relationship. As many others, we know that there are many others who are genuinely asking. And we just pray that you will help because you're the God who helps and brings the right people to us. We bless you, Lord, and thank you for our time together in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
We care for you, Valentine. We wish you all the best.
Thank you, guys. Rose, it was so good to meet you.
Been a pleasure, absolute pleasure.
Asanteni, nimeombewa na pastor. Now it's just, we wait for wedding girls.
Conclusive relationship. Conclusive. That is the key word.
Conclusive.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thank you, team, and all of you that have joined us. Have a wonderful week ahead.
Okay, you too. God bless.
Okay, bye. Okay, good night.